There is a number written into the universe that should not be there. Not because it is small or large, but because, according to everything physics understands, it should cancel out. It should vanish. It should be zero. And yet it is not. This single constant quietly controls the expansion of the universe, the fate of galaxies, and the long-term structure of reality itself. Physics knows it exists. Physics can measure it, but physics cannot explain why it is there at all. This constant is often called the cosmological constant, and it represents one of the deepest failures of our understanding of reality. The cosmological constant appears in Einstein's equations almost as an afterthought. Originally introduced to keep the universe static, it was later abandoned when cosmic expansion was discovered. For decades, it was treated as a historical curiosity, but the universe was not finished with it. Observations in the late 20th century revealed something shocking. The expansion of the universe is accelerating, not slowing down, not stabilizing, speeding up. Something is pushing space-time itself apart, and the simplest way to describe that push is to resurrect the cosmological constant. This constant behaves like an energy density of empty space, vacuum energy. Even when you remove all matter and radiation, space still carries energy. That energy does not dilute as the universe expands. It stays constant per unit volume. As space grows, the total amount of this energy increases. The universe gains energy by expanding. This alone should make you uncomfortable. Energy from nothing is not supposed to exist. Quantum field theory makes the problem worse. According to quantum mechanics, empty space is not empty. Fields fluctuate, virtual particles appear and disappear. Every mode of every field contributes energy to the vacuum. When physicists calculate this vacuum energy, they get an answer that is catastrophically wrong. The predicted value is larger than the observed value by a factor of about 10 to the power of 120. This is not a small discrepancy. It is the largest mismatch between theory and observation in the history of physics. It is not even clear how to interpret such a difference. The number we observe is incredibly small. The number we predict is absurdly large. Somehow, almost everything cancels out, leaving behind a tiny residue. That residue is the cosmological constant, and physics has no idea why the cancellation is so precise. This is not a technical glitch. It is a conceptual disaster. There is no known symmetry that forces the vacuum energy to be small. There is no mechanism that naturally sets it to the observed value. Every attempt to explain it introduces fine-tuning so extreme that it feels unnatural. The universe seems to be balancing on a knife edge for no apparent reason. If the cosmological constant were slightly larger, the universe would expand too fast for galaxies to form. Matter would be torn apart before structure could emerge. If it were slightly smaller or negative, the universe could collapse back on itself. The value we observe is not just small. It is precisely in the narrow range that allows complexity. Reality depends on it, and that dependence has no explanation. Some physicists appeal to the anthropic principle. In a multiverse where the cosmological constant takes many values, observers can only arise in regions where it allows structure. We observe this value because we exist. This explanation does not derive the constant, it selects it. It does not tell you why the distribution exists or why the universe samples it. It shifts the mystery rather than resolving it. Others hope for a deeper symmetry or dynamical mechanism that sets the value naturally. Decades of work have not delivered one. The cosmological constant remains stubborn. It resists explanation. It sits at the intersection of quantum mechanics, gravity, and cosmology, exposing their incompatibility. The discomfort deepens when you realize that the cosmological constant is not just another parameter. It defines the ultimate fate of the universe. As expansion accelerates, galaxies drift beyond each other's horizons. Over immense timescales, the universe becomes colder, emptier, darker. Stars burn out. Structures dissolve. The cosmological constant determines whether the universe ends in heat death, collapse, or something more exotic. A tiny number decides everything, and that number should not exist. In many theories, the natural value of the cosmological constant is zero. Symmetry arguments suggest that empty space should have no energy, yet observation contradicts this. Reality insists on a non-zero value. Physics can accommodate it mathematically. It cannot justify it physically. This is a sign that our picture of vacuum, space, or energy is incomplete. Empty space may not be empty in the way we think, or energy may not be what we think, or space-time itself may be emergent from something deeper, where this constant is not fundamental. But whatever the resolution is, it will not be a small adjustment. It will require a restructuring of our understanding. The cosmological constant problem is not an isolated puzzle. It echoes themes you have already seen. fine-tuning, emergent laws, incomplete explanations, reality balancing on unexplained parameters. The universe works, but it should not work this way. And yet it does. This constant exposes the fragility of our confidence. We write equations that describe the universe with astonishing accuracy, yet one tiny term refuses to make sense. That refusal matters. It tells us that our theories are not wrong, but they are unfinished. The cosmological constant is not a mistake in nature. It is a message. It tells us that empty space is not simple, that nothingness is not nothing, that the universe carries an irreducible tension between what should cancel and what remains. Reality depends on a number that should not exist, and physics, for all its power, has no explanation for why it does. This is not a failure to be embarrassed by. It is a clue, a signpost pointing toward a deeper layer where vacuum, space, and energy are redefined. Until that layer is uncovered, the cosmological constant remains what it is today. A tiny number with enormous consequences. A constant that should not exist, yet shapes everything. This is Veritas Labs, where truth is tested.